dia. Obrigado por me convidar para falar brevemente durante a sua importante conferência sobre os desafios da cidade contemporânea, 40 anos de investigação urbana. I am Jerome Crace, Murray Koppelman, and Professor Emeritus at Brooklyn College of the City University of New York. As the time span, my own research took place over an even longer period of time, at least a half century, during which I tried to introduce phenomenological approaches to the study of urban life and culture. In recent decades, I blended visual theories and methods into the constantly changing mix. For those who are interested, I can provide a personal bibliography. A relatively short time ago, I was surprised and indeed honored to be asked by now Dr. Moises de Freitas Cunha to join his distinguished doctoral dissertation committee at Pontificia Universidade Católica de São Paulo. He had come across my 1982 book, Self and Community in the City, that was a theoretical case study of a racially changing neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, and thought it might be of value in his comparative study of city district Liberdade in Sao Paulo, Brazil. What we discovered in the process of initial correspondence and later fruitful personal encounters in the United States were the many unfortunate similarities between the experience of Black or Afro-Brazilians and Black or Afro-Americans. I can argue with certainty that it is impossible to understand the 4 centuries of urban development and history of our sister countries without understanding both the continuing oppression and, despite the many obstacles, the amazing contributions of people of African descent to our cities. Although general urban studies at national levels are worthy endeavors, I am convinced that only more close-up case studies of cities and specific neighborhoods can better convey to researchers, students, and practitioners the fullest understanding of these phenomena. As I recently wrote in Social Justice and Brooklyn Development, 500 Years of Struggle, I note that the original title was Social Justice and Black Brooklyn Development, but the editors thought that the term Black was too limiting. This issue, we might say, for another future conversation. During every phase of urban development in Brooklyn, from 16th century discovery and colonization by Europeans to 21st century globalization, people from Africa, whether slave, indentured, or free, during every phase of urban development, such as changing economies and politics, despite making major contributions to the cities, gained little or no benefit, in many cases were victimized by them. The borough of Brooklyn, New York, has evolved over the past half millennia from a sparsely settled, lush woodland to a bustling, super diverse, post-industrial city of almost 3 million residents. The first residents were Native Americans, but since then, there has been a steady stream of immigrants from every corner of the nation and globe, producing an urban ecological series of invasions and successions. Unfortunately, as a consequence of conflicts and competition over spaces and resources, there have been unequal and inequitable distribution of public goods that have also exposed the least advantaged to environmental hazards. In my works, I have addressed this history from a distributive social justice perspective, with a special focus on Black Brooklynites, viewed through the lens of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The experience of Black Brooklynites was a central feature in both the rise and decline of the borough, and in every incident to the present day, they have never received their just due. My work and that of Dr. De Freitas Cunha, I believe, rests on a distributive social justice model of urban development and asks what is owed to Black residents. For a society to be called just, it must guarantee its members equal access to liberties, rights, and opportunities it offers. This requires acceptance of a social contract freely entered into by its members, to which John Rawls believed free, rational people would ascribe. The principles of justice in the contract specify the basic rights and duties to be assigned by the main political and social institutions, and they regulate the division of benefits arising from social cooperation and allot the burdens necessary to sustain it, according to Rawls and Kelly. David Harvey offered 3 principles addressing the uneven distribution of resources and rights: need, contribution to the common good, and merit. Harvey's most important principle was need. Individuals have rights to equal levels of benefit, which means that there is an unequal allocation according to need. Over the centuries, Black Brooklynites consistently have gained the least and lost the most, despite having contributed much to Brooklyn's prosperity. Why then have they not received their fair share? Dr. De Freitas de Cuna's research aimed to analyze processes of degradation in regard to the revitalization of modern cities. Starting from the 19th century, he wisely selected Sao Paulo City's Liberdade district to look at the racial transition of the neighborhood from the theoretical perspective of the social production of space, Lefebvre, during the history of Sao Paulo. He sought to understand how public and or private policies and cycles of positive and negative change impacted upon local residents by comparing Liberdade with the Brooklyn neighborhoods I had studied. In my research, I employed an urban ecological model of urban invasion and succession, moderated by symbolic interaction and phenomenology, to outline a theoretical model of neighborhood transition that could be applied to Liberdade. Dr. Freitas de Cuna's work is an excellent demonstration of the utility of urban theory and methods for comparative global analysis. In conclusion, I would like to say that I'm happy to collaborate with my colleagues in Brazil on current and future urban research and look forward to the day I can come and meet you all in person. Deseo a todos o mejor.